Welcome. My name is Cheryl Abrams Davis, and I'm your 2025 president here at Maryland Realtors. Welcome to 5 Questions With. Today, our guest is Scott Lederer, who is the executive director of the Maryland Real Estate Commission and a former real estate broker. First of all, I would like to say, Mr. Lederer, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us today. And I hope that our members will appreciate the fact that we have you here and that they learned something from our 5 questions today. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into our first question. And if you could just be so kind to give people a little bit of background information about you and how you got to be the executive director at the Maryland Real Estate Commission, I would greatly appreciate it. So first,
Sure, Cheryl. Please call me Scott.
okay, thank you, Scott.
Sure. And thank you,
Okay.
Cheryl. And by the way, congratulations in your role as the Maryland Realtors president this year. It's an honor, I'm sure, on your part, and the Realtor Association's lucky to have you in that role. So congratulations.
Lord, thank you so much, Scott. I hope they didn't, pay you to say that about me, but thank you so much. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Not at
So
all.
moving right along, what's going to be different about how the Maryland Real Estate Commission operates having you at the helm? And what are you going to bring to the table that's different from your predecessors?
Okay, thank you. As you know, and I'll say, I started in this business in 1979, believe it or not. I've been a salesperson, of course, and a broker, owner, manager for my whole career, and kind of led me to this opportunity that presented itself last year. And so I'm anxious to fill this role, but honored as well. I believe I'm the first executive director of the Real Estate Commission with a background as a practicing salesperson and associate broker and broker. So my experience as an owner and broker allows me to bring an industry perspective to the commission that I believe was lacking in the recent past. I apply that perspective that I have daily with my team here at the commission when dealing with licensees and licensing issues and education issues. So, but I believe I'm also able to assist. We have a wonderful board of commissioners, and I'm able to assist them when dealing with complaints and disciplinary challenges because I've got real world experience, as some of the commissioners do as well. So that's what I'm hoping to bring to this position, and looking forward to the challenges that running the commission presents itself to me. So.
Great. And as you were speaking and answering that question, I was thinking I've been licensed since 2002. And since I've been licensed, I don't recall anyone in that position having had the level of experience that you have had on the real estate side. And I feel like it's going to be an asset for us because you were a member of Maryland Realtors in the past, of course, when you were a broker. So you pretty much have a little bit more understanding of what happens in our industry. And having been a broker in the past, were there some things when you came into office that automatically you thought, hey, I think we need some help over here? Just having that level of experience as a broker, were there some things that you were thinking about implementing, having that background when you came into that position?
Yes, it's a good question. I obviously have been a member of Maryland Realtors since my career started. But in terms of when I first became a broker in 2001, I dealt with the commission obviously on a much different level. And my best experiences with the commission was when Kathy Connolly, if you remember Kathy, of course, had this role, and she certainly came from the industry, and that was a breath of fresh air back then to have someone from the industry. So I'm thankful to Kathy for setting the bar on that in that regard. One of the things that I hope to bring back maybe is I want to open up the lines of communication, such as what we're doing today, with the brokerages and the licensees. You know, when I first started, I told my staff, I said, I think there needs to be a familiarity of the industry with the commission. And I believe familiarity, if I'm pronouncing that word correctly, breeds compliance. And that's the key. So one way I plan to open up those lines of communications is by reviving the what used to be called the commission check, the newsletter.
Right.
And it'll be called that as well. It's in draft form now. And as a former broker and manager, I found the newsletter very helpful in understanding the commission's role and learning more about the new laws and regulations that affect the industry. So I'm doing that. Look for the first issue to come out in the next 30 days. And then my goal will have is to have a quarterly commission check. I've also been opening up lines of communications by attending brokerage and association seminars and training meetings. I find these opportunities mutually beneficial. I gain a perspective from listening to brokers and managers and licensees talk about their challenges as well, which I can relate to.
Now, is this something that you actually do yourself? You attend meetings if brokers contact the real estate commission and ask you to come, or do you send other people to?
No, I've been doing a number of them myself. As I go forward in them, I'll probably include some of my staff. But for right now, what I've been doing is I've been attending broker manager meetings at the brokerage level, and also attending association events like the commercial symposium that we had that you guys had last week. So I'm going to continue to do that, and I welcome the opportunity. I'm doing one this week. I'm doing another one next week with different brokerages. So I welcome those opportunities.
Okay, perfect. I know that you said you were going to resurrect that one communication that the Maryland Real Estate Commission had in the past. Is that just for brokers, or will that be something available for brokers and agents? And if it's for brokers, is there anything or any way that you or the commission can connect to the licensees?
Well, the commission check will be emailed to all 48,000 licensees.
Okay, perfect.
Brokers and salespersons. On the brokerage side, I think, as I mentioned, attending broker manager meetings has been an important way to get communication out on the broker level, and also gaining feedback from the brokerage and the managers.
And how would managers or brokers be able to make those requests if someone's listening to this today?
Yeah, the best way is email. I'm scott.lederer@maryland.gov. So it's pretty easy to remember, and I'll respond. And if my schedule permits, then I'll be glad to attend. Okay,
perfect. Let's go on to the next question. So let's face it, like, no one really wants to hear from the Maryland Real Estate Commission unless it pertains to their license renewal. So inquiring minds want to know, what can real estate licensees do to stay out of what they used to call real estate jail? For example, like, what are the top 3 violations that the commission is seeing at the moment? And are you seeing an increase in the reporting?
That's a loaded question. So let me deal with it in pieces here. First of all, the best thing licensees can do is document. When a complaint is received and makes its way to one of my investigators, the best defense for a licensee, and that is if there is a defense, is documentation of transactions, including emails and texts. The documentation is so critical in terms of when there's a hearing panel and they're reviewing the investigator's report and trying to decide if there was an infraction and what kind and everything else. Well, the documentation really plays a big role. So I can only encourage licensees, and I did this certainly as a broker manager as well, to make sure your documentation is recorded and keep it. And the other thing in complaining in terms of the complaints is a lack of communication really with a client and customer. That's a common theme. Licensees, a client or a customer will file a complaint, and they'll stipulate in their complaint as part of their complaint that they never heard from their agent, or not enough. And couple that with proper representation. I mean, communication and representation go hand in hand. And we find many complaints center around licensees not looking out for their clients' best interests. And on the broker manager side, the underlying issue in almost all complaints against the licensee, against the salesperson or associate broker, is a lack of, on the broker side, a lack of training and supervision.
Okay.
And brokers will be held to that standard in every complaint involving a licensee. So those are the most frequent we see complaints and ways to stay out of realtor jail.
And have you seen an increase in reporting?
Oh, yeah. Actually a decrease. And I think that's market related. We have seen I've been here a little over 6 months, but in terms of year over year, we have seen a decrease in the number of complaints being filed. So, and again, I believe that, I'd like to believe that the licensees and the brokers are becoming more compliant, certainly, but I also think it's market driven.
Okay.
As well.
Thank you. Well, that's good to hear. At least it's not going the other direction.
Right.
So let's talk about license renewals. Can you explain the new process that took effect in October 24 as it relates to the time frame to renew licenses and what happens if that time frame isn't met?
Certainly, and this consumes quite a bit of mine and my staff's time on a daily basis these days, as you can imagine. So October 1st, the new law went into effect that requires a licensee to have their continuing education hours completed 30 days or more prior to their renewal date. And when I say completed, I mean the class had to be taken outside of 30 days prior to their license renewal. That goes hand in hand with the other part of the law that went into effect that says that the providers, the CE providers, the schools, if you will, have up to 14 days from the date of the class to upload the credit hours into the Real Estate Commission's site. That's the only way CE credits get into our system is through the provider. We don't upload. We're not allowed internally to upload certificates. There's a reason for all that. So it's obviously we want the integrity of the system. So the CE providers, the schools, have to upload, because we get numerous requests. I took my CE yesterday. I'm trying to renew today. Here's my certificates. Well, we can't do anything with them. It has to be uploaded by the provider. So we normally tell the licensee, go back to the provider and see if they'll upload them right away for you. But they do have up to 14 days to do so. I don't see any providers using that full time frame, but typically it's done within 3 or 4 or 5 days, which is good.
So just for clarification for our licensees, so someone waits until the 30th day to take that final class, right? Can they go online that same day to renew, or do they have to wait until they know that the certificate has been uploaded first?
You can't renew unless your certificates have been uploaded into the system, because the system will not let you renew.
Okay.
The system will not let you renew until your CE is complete per the CE requirements for when your license was issued. So
okay, because it seems like there would be some lag time if someone just waited until like a month before their license expired and then they try to go in to renew, but the provider hasn't uploaded their certificates yet. So we just have to make sure that we allow some additional time for that part of it to also happen.
yes, exactly.
And if that doesn't happen, then what is the fee associated with that?
Yeah, so if you don't complete your CE credits 30 days or more prior to your license renewal, when you go to renew, there will be a CE late fee charged, and it's $168. It's the
As of today, it could change in the
Yes,
future.
it's right, the law was written with the term reinstatement fee.
Okay,
Now, reinstatement fee is not necessarily reflective of what the fee is covering at that moment, because the reinstatement fee is the same if you don't renew on time and you have to reinstate your license.
oh, okay,
That's the same fee. So we're working on trying to have that term modified so it's a little more understandable, but to avoid some confusion, because like I said, it's the same term and the same fee if you did not renew on time and you have to reinstate your license. So
okay.
and we also, and to get that word out, we've been sending out e-blasts. This is so critical again, and I mentioned this at the symposium last week, and that is that licensees make sure their email addresses are current in our system. Because if your email address is not current, you're not getting renewal notices, you're not getting notices about new laws, et cetera.
And I
So,
think that's one of the biggest takeaways for today too. If nobody does anything with this information today, at least log into your real estate commission portal to make sure your email is correct. If you're not getting
exactly.
anything from the Maryland Real Estate Commission, then you probably need to go in there and just double check and make sure your email is correct.
Yeah, and because of the fairly newness of this law and the implication that it has monetarily to a licensee, I last December I instituted 2 additional new license renewal email notifications. So
Okay.
right now you'll get your first, well, before that, before I instituted that, you would have gotten a 60-day notice in an email notice that your license was up for renewal 60 days from that date.
Right.
So what I created with our IT department was 2 new notifications altogether, a 6-month and a 3-month.
Oh, wow.
Those 2 notices are strictly for CE completion. And basically what the notice says is you're on the 6-month notice, your license is due to renew, let's say September 1st, 2025, and your CE is going to have to be completed by August 1st, 2025. So and that's
Perfect.
the purpose of the notice, and the 3-month is the same one. So we're hoping that those additional notices, and it's also noted in the 60-day reminder as well. We're hoping that they'll eliminate some of the complaints from the licensees who say they were not aware, because that's the biggest complaint right now. And I'm trying to get the word out, obviously, in the broker manager meetings, as well as association events like last week. So I'm hoping that as that takes hold, that we won't get as many complaints, and licensees won't be getting surprised with a CE late fee.
Okay. And we don't want a late fee either. So this is
No,
great
no,
information.
no. I'd much rather have everybody comply and we don't have to charge them any money, and we don't have to worry about it. So I think in reality, I think it's going to take a 2-year cycle.
Right.
Whole renewal cycle for the
Well, that makes
majority of
sense.
licensees to catch to it. Yeah.
Okay. So advertising,
Mhm.
we've actually been talking about advertising since I became a realtor, like I said, back in 2002, and we're still talking about it 23 years later. So I know that some things have changed. Can you elaborate on what's happening in the area of advertising complaints and how advertising infractions are reported?
Sure. And this is also related to a new law that went into effect last fall. And that is prior to that, if you were filing a complaint with the Real Estate Commission, you had to fill out the complaint section, who you were, who's filing the complaint. The new law allows advertising complaints to be anonymous.
Right.
And the real reason for that is we're an industry that self-polices itself, I should say, or should. And in order to do so, some licensees might point out an advertising violation or infraction, but they don't want to make a huge deal out of it and come back on them for whatever reason. So I have been fielding a few anonymous complaints, maybe about a dozen so far. And the way I'm handling it is this: when an anonymous advertising complaint comes in, it's usually in an email, and you have to accompany the email with copies of the ad or pictures of the sign or whatever the complaint might be, or the advertising infraction might be. But my staff knows to send them to me. What I do is I vet it to verify that it is a violation. And if it's in violation, I reach out to the agent and the broker. And I say, this came to my attention. This sign is not compliant, whatever it might be. Please bring it into compliance or get rid of it, do away with it if it's not compliant. And I'll give you 30 days to do so. And I would like you to respond back to me within 30 days, letting me know that it's been corrected, or send me the corrected ad, or whatever the correction is.
Right.
And that seems to be working. I don't want to clog up our complaint department with an advertising complaint that could be handled one-on-one with the broker and the licensing. So that seems to have been working so far. Like I said, I've fulfilled about a dozen of them, and they've all been taken care of, which I'm happy to say is working. If that doesn't resolve the issue, then I will turn the complaint over to our complaint department to be processed as any other non-advertising complaint might be. The other part of your question is, what am I seeing? Team advertising seems to be the violations that I'm seeing very prevalent coming to me, and they mostly involve team names and their connection to the broker's name. Not only that, but the actual team name, including words like company or LLC or Inc., Incorporated, whatever it might be. Your team name cannot present itself to the public as if it was a company in and of itself,
Right.
a brokerage, I should say, in and of itself. And I encourage everyone to go to our website. There's team and group guidelines there, and they're very helpful. And when I say the connection to the brokerage team, to the brokerage name, the team name has to be in proximity to the brokerage name and also connected with a word. Okay, so if it's the ABC team of XYZ Realty, that's compliant. ABC team of or with XYZ broker. It can't be ABC company with XYZ. It can't make the public think that it's an entity in and of itself as a brokerage. So those are more prevalent than anything else right now we see in terms of advertising complaints. There's also not including the broker phone number in an advertisement when the agent, the licensee's phone number or email is in the ad. In other words, I'll put it this way, if the licensee's phone number or email address are in an advertisement, then the brokerage number has to be in there. In other words, a member of the public has to get to the broker or manager without going through the licensee.
Right.
For complaints or whatever it might be. And so if they have to go through, I had this the other day where a team said, well, we have a team phone number and we have a menu of options when you call it. And one of them is you want to talk to the broker, hit 3. No, you can't, it's got to go directly. You can't go through another agent's, another licensee's phone number or team number. So it has to be in there. So we get those violations pretty frequently as well. And that's easy to fix. I also see it, by the way, because I read a lot of emails coming in from licensees or teams, in their signature, on the email signature, will be an advertisement, but they don't have the broker's phone number in there, but they've got their number. That's an ad. You've got to make sure that you're compliant. And all these things, by the way, are spelled out in that team and group and advertising guidelines.
I want to say that as a brokerage manager, when agents come to me and ask me those questions, I immediately go to the website. Actually, I have a copy saved in on my computer, but that advertising checklist is awesome. Like everything that you need to have in the ad is really spelled out, and you all, do it a really good job of, I think it's color coded or something, and
Yes.
it's really easy to follow. So thank you for providing that for us. It's
Oh,
really
sure.
helpful. And people ask me the same question, does the company, phone number need to be on there? Yes, it does. It has to be
Yeah.
the main number directly to the broker. So thank you for breaking that down, so that hopefully more people will get a full understanding of how it works for them individually and also for teams as
Yeah,
well.
thank you for mentioning the website. I should note that there's so much good information on the Real Estate Commission website. And I mentioned this at the symposium. You can go through your entire career with never having to call or email us at the commission. Everything you need to do is on the website or guide you to where you can go. So there's so much good information on the website. I'm glad to hear that you keep it open on the browser because it's full of information.
It
For
really
instance,
is.
yeah, for instance, the guidelines for unlicensed assistants. That's very detailed, and it's a handy reference tool for any broker or manager who's trying to coach a licensee in that regard.
And can you just, for the sake of our listeners, provide them with the website?
Yeah, it's easy to do. Just Google Maryland Real Estate Commission, and it's the first one that pops up.
Okay.
So it's easy. Just Google Maryland Real Estate Commission. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
So, as we wrap up our session, that was 5 questions. And we're literally like just about out of time, so it's perfect timing. Is there any additional information that you would like to share with us before you go? Like, are there 3
Thank you.
top things that we should like have as our takeaways, or
Well,
3 things we
no,
should be doing different?
your session was great. You're very inclusive of a lot of the highlights of what I should be talking about. I would just again welcome brokers, managers, and associations to reach out to me, and I'll be glad to answer questions directly, or like I said, attend meetings when possible, or virtually or in person, either one. And I'll be glad to speak to the groups whenever I can. So I think that that was one of my initial goals, and I'm keeping it one of my priorities is to reopen. And I say reopen because prior to back, say when Kathy Conley was here, there was a great line of communication open. I want to reinstitute that. So I just welcome the opportunity to visit and speak to groups whenever possible.
Okay. Well, having said that, once again, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Okay.
And I'm sure that we'll be hearing more from you in a positive way in the future.
Thanks, Cheryl, and good luck with the rest of your administration.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right.